Welcome back to World Cup Lore. If you watched our Argentina episode, you know what we're about. We're covering all 48 nations heading to the 2026 World Cup, one epic story at a time. And today we're talking about the kings, the legends, the team with 5 stars above their crest, Brazil, a seleção, the only nation to play in every single World Cup, ever. But here's what makes Brazil's story absolutely fascinating. This isn't just about winning, it's about heartbreak and redemption. It's about a tragedy so devastating, it haunted a nation for 20 years. It's about a goalkeeper who became a pariah for one mistake. And it's about the most humiliating defeat in World Cup history happening on home soil. If you thought Argentina's story was dramatic, wait until you hear this. So here's the deal, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're building the ultimate World Cup library before 2026. Drop a like if you're ready for this journey, and comment below. Which country should we cover next? France? Germany? England? You decide. Oh, and tell us where you're watching from. United States? Brazil? Europe? Let's see how global this community really is. Let's go back to 1930, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand why Brazil is the most successful, but also the most tortured team in World Cup history. Uruguay 1930. The inaugural World Cup. 13 teams. Brazil was there. They were eliminated in the group stage after losing to Yugoslavia. Decent, but not spectacular. Italy 1934. Brazil played one match. Spain beat them 3-1. Eliminated. But Brazil's striker Leonidas would become a legend 4 years later. France 1938. This is where Brazil started to show what they were capable of. Leonidas da Silva, nicknamed the Black Diamond, was unstoppable. He scored 7 goals, finishing as top scorer. In the semi-final, Brazil lost to Italy in 2-1, but the world was starting to notice. Then came World War II, and football stopped. When the World Cup returned in 1950, it came to Brazil. And this is where everything changes. This is where Brazilian football becomes myth, tragedy, and obsession all at once. Brazil built the Maracanazo stadium specifically for this World Cup, the largest stadium in the world, capable of holding over 200,000 people. The entire nation was ready. This was Brazil's moment. The format was unique. No knockout rounds. Instead, a final group stage where 4 teams played each other. Brazil dominated. They destroyed Sweden 7-1. They crushed Spain 6-1. Heading into the final match, Brazil sat top with 1 point ahead of Uruguay. The math was simple. Brazil needed only a draw to win the World Cup. Uruguay needed a win. Everyone believed Brazil would win. Newspapers printed victory editions before the match. Gold medals were engraved with players' names. A victory song was ready. The mayor of Rio called them champions before kickoff. July 16th, 1950. The Maracanazo. Officially, 173,850 people attended. Unofficially, probably over 200,000. One of the most attended matches in football history. The first half was tense. Neither team scored. Then, 2 minutes into the second half, Brazil's free Arxa scored. 1-0. The stadium erupted. Brazil was minutes away from their first World Cup. But Uruguay's captain, Obdulio Varela, did something brilliant and devious. After Brazil's goal, instead of quickly restarting, he approached the referee claiming the linesman had raised his flag. He demanded a translator. 8 minutes passed. 8 minutes where celebration slowly turned to anxiety. When play resumed, everything had changed. 66th minute. Juan Alberto Schiaffino equalised. 1-1. The Maracanazo fell silent. Then in the 79th minute, Alcides Gigia fired past goalkeeper Moacir Barbosa. 2-1 to Uruguay. Brazil threw everything forward, but Uruguay held on. The final whistle blew. Silence. Complete devastating silence. The Maracanazo. The Maracana blow. It wasn't just a loss, it was a national tragedy. The prepared celebrations were cancelled. The goalkeeper Barbosa became a scapegoat for the rest of his life. Decades later, he said, "Under Brazilian law, the maximum sentence is 30 years. But my imprisonment has been for 50. Brazil had built the world's greatest stadium and lost at home in front of 200,000 people. The trauma ran so deep that Brazil changed their jersey. They abandoned white and created the iconic yellow and green. They wanted to forget 1950. But trauma doesn't fade. It haunts. Sweden, 1958. 8 years after the Maracanazo. Brazil arrived with a 17-year-old kid from Sao Paulo, Edson Arantes do Nascimento. The world would know him as Pelé. Brazil's manager had faced pressure to leave Pelé out, citing his youth, but he kept him. In the quarter-final against Wales, Pelé scored the only goal. In the semi-final against France, Pelé exploded with a hat-trick, 5-2 to Brazil. He was 17 years and 244 days old. The final was against Sweden, the hosts. Brazil fell behind early but fought back. Vavá scored twice. Pelé made it 3-1 with an audacious lob, then scored again. 5-2 to Brazil. Pelé sat on the pitch and cried. 8 years after the Maracanazo, Brazil were world champions. The curse was broken. Chile, 1962. Brazil arrived as defending champions. Pelé got injured early and didn't play again. Garrincha took over. In the quarter-finals, Brazil beat England. In the semi-finals, they beat hosts Chile 4-2. Garrincha was sent off, but Brazil's president intervened with FIFA. Garrincha played in the final. Against Czechoslovakia, Brazil fell behind, but equalised immediately. Then Zito scored. Then Vavá. 3-1. Back-to-back world champions. Only Italy had done that before. Brazil had joined the elite. England, 1966. Brazil arrived as two-time defending champions. But this World Cup was brutal. Defenders kicked and hacked Pelé relentlessly. Against Portugal, he was fouled so many times he could barely walk. Brazil lost 3-1. Eliminated in the group stage. A disaster. Pelé nearly retired. Mexico 1970. This is it. The tournament that defines Brazil. The greatest team ever assembled. Pelé had returned, now 29. Alongside him were Jairzinho, Tostão, Gerson, Rivellino, and captain Carlos Alberto. Brazil's opening match was against Czechoslovakia. 4-1. Pelé nearly scored from the halfway line. Against England, 1-0 with a Jairzinho goal. Brazil scored 8 in the group stage. Quarter-final against Peru, 4-2. Jairzinho scored in every match. Semi-final against Uruguay, 3-1. Revenge for 1950 perhaps. The final was against Italy at the Azteca Stadium. Over 107,000 people watched. Italy took the lead, but Brazil equalised before half-time. In the second half, Brazil took over. Gerson scored. Jairzinho scored his 7th. Then, in the 86th minute, came one of the most iconic goals ever. Pelé controlled a pass, laid it off, and Carlos Alberto ran onto it at full speed and smashed it into the corner. 4-1, the greatest team goal ever scored. Brazil were world champions for the third time. They kept the original Jules Rimet trophy permanently. The 1970 team is still considered the greatest of all time. Pelé lifted the trophy. Brazil had finally buried the ghost of 1950. The years that followed brought mixed results. West Germany 1974, 4th place. Argentina 1978, 3rd place. Spain 1982 and Italy 1986 brought early exits despite beautiful football. By the early 90s, Brazil hadn't won in 24 years. The pressure was immense. USA 1994. The tournament was in the United States. Brazil's team wasn't as flamboyant as 1970, but it was efficient. Romario and Bebeto led the attack. Dunga captained. Brazil topped their group, beat the USA, beat the Netherlands, beat Sweden. The final was against Italy. Cagey, defensive, tense. Neither team scored in 90 minutes or extra time. 0-0, penalties. The first World Cup final decided by shootout. Italy's Baresi missed. Brazil's Santos missed. Then Romario scored. Bebeto scored. Italy's Massaro missed. Dunga scored. Roberto Baggio had to score. He blazed it over. Brazil were world champions, their 4th title. Romario was player of the tournament. The 24-year drought was over. France, 1998. Brazil reached the final again. Ronaldo was the world's best player. But something was wrong. Before the match, Ronaldo suffered a convulsive fit. He was listed off the team sheet, then suddenly back on. Confusion reigned. In the final against hosts France, Ronaldo was a ghost. Brazil lost 3-0. Zinedine Zidane scored twice. Questions swirled about what had happened. South Korea and Japan, 2002. Redemption time. Ronaldo was back, fully fit and hungry. Brazil's squad was loaded. Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, Cafu. They topped their group, beat Belgium, beat England with Ronaldinho's stunning free kick, beat Turkey. The final was against Germany. Ronaldo scored in the 67th minute, then again in the 79th. 2-0. Brazil were world champions for the 5th time. Ronaldo finished with 8 goals. He had redeemed himself. 22 years later, that remains Brazil's last World Cup title. Germany 2006 and South Africa 2010 brought quarter-final exits despite having world-class squads. The frustration was building. Then came 2014, and this is where Brazilian football experienced its second great trauma. Brazil 2014. The World Cup returned after 64 years. The Maracanazo was renovated. The nation was ready. This was redemption for 1950. Neymar, their 22-year-old superstar, led the team. Thiago Silva captained. Group stage, 3 wins. Round of 16 against Chile. Penalties, but Brazil won. Quarter-finals against Colombia. 2-1, but Neymar was injured. A knee to his back fractured a vertebra. He was out. The semi-final was at the Mineirão Stadium in Belo Horizonte. Brazil versus Germany. Without Neymar, Brazil were vulnerable. But no one predicted what happened next. 11th minute. Thomas Müller scored. 23rd minute. Miroslav Klose. 24th minute. Toni Kroos. 26th minute. Kroos again. 29th minute. Sami Khedira. 5 goals in 18 minutes. Brazil were being destroyed. On home soil, the Mineirão was silent. Fans were crying. In the second half, Germany scored twice more. André Schürrle, 7-0. Oscar scored a late consolation. 7-1, the Mineirazo, just like the Maracanazo. Another stadium, another tragedy. Brazil's worst defeat ever. On home soil, in a World Cup semi-final. Germany beat Argentina in the final. For Brazil, 2014 was about being exposed in front of the world. Russia, 2018. Brazil had a solid team. Neymar led the attack. They topped their group, beat Mexico but faced Belgium in the quarter-finals. Belgium won 2-1. Another disappointment. Qatar 2022. Brazil arrived as favourites. Neymar, now 30, was in potentially his last World Cup. The squad was brilliant. Vinicius Jr., Richarlison, Casemiro, Alisson. They topped their group, then destroyed South Korea 4-1 in the round of 16. Richarlison scored a bicycle kick for the ages. The quarter-final was against Croatia. Brazil dominated. More shots, more possession, more chances. The match stayed 0-0 through 90 minutes. In extra time, in the 105th minute, Neymar finally broke through. He danced through Croatia's defence, played 1-2s, rounded the keeper, and fired into the roof of the net. 1-0. His 77th goal for Brazil, equalling Pelé's all-time record. Brazil were through, also it seemed. But Croatia don't quit. Ever. In the 117th minute, just 3 minutes from the end, Bruno Petkovic received a cross and fired home. 1-1, penalties. Brazil's Rodrigo went first. His shot was saved by Livakovic. Croatia scored. Then Marquinhos stepped up for Brazil's 4th penalty. He had to score. He struck the post. The ball rolled away. Brazil were out, 4-2 on penalties. Neymar collapsed in tears in midfield. He was saved for the 5th and most decisive penalty, the one that never came. Croatia had done it again. Another generation. Another heartbreak. Argentina went on to win the tournament. Messi got his World Cup. Neymar didn't. So there you have it. Brazil's World Cup story. 5 titles. More than anyone else. The only nation to play in every tournament. Pelé, Garrincha, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar. Legends who defined eras. But also the Maracanazo. The trauma that haunted for decades. The Mineirazo. The 7-1 that broke hearts. The goalkeeper blamed for 50 years. The penalty shootout heartbreaks. The quarter-final exits when they were favourites. Brazil is the most successful team in World Cup history, but they are also the most tortured. Because when you're Brazil, winning isn't enough. You have to win beautifully. You have to play with joy, with samba, with style. And when you lose, especially at home, the pain cuts deeper. In 2026, Brazil will arrive with 5 stars and 24 years since their last title. Vinicius Jr. will lead a new generation. The expectations will be immense. They always are. Because this is Brazil, the team everyone wants to watch, the team everyone wants to beat. The kings of football with the weight of history on their shoulders. That's Brazil. That's their law. Now, your turn. Did we do Brazil justice? Then smash that subscribe button because we've got 46 more nations to cover. Comment below. Which country next? And tell us where you're watching from. Thanks for watching World Cup Lore. See you in the next one.